Hey now, it's the Rob and Eric Cornish. I'm from 106.1 KISS FM, and of course Eric from WKDQ, and we're here with a special weekend edition of the Enhancement Talents.
Because at this time, I'm actually probably touring the area. I will be off this coming week, so we want to make sure we get all of our wrestling info into you before we hit the Elimination Chamber and really gear up on the road to WrestleMania.
We're on episode 4. We're getting ready for syndication. So
that's right. They're calling like crazy. Everybody's getting the podcast. JR now has a podcast that just hit this past week. I listened to that. Sounds great.
I literally just finished listening to the Chris Jericho podcast you told me to check out. I liked it a lot, both parts of it.
Chris Jericho sounds good. Austin sounds good. JR does. So we're next, I think.
I think so.
They need to interview us.
Right now we're still Enhancement Talents. One day we'll be the mid-level guys.
That's right. What we want to talk about this week as we are getting close to the road to WrestleMania, we've kind of hinted around this, but I think we need to talk about the card and what we think the card's going to shape up to be. I mean, obviously, we're all going to be kind of surprised in the next few weeks, or not surprised, because there's several matches that have been rumored for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see what happens with this weekend's Elimination Chamber on into the road to WrestleMania. I've got the list of the.
I took some notes too.
At least the matches that everybody seems to think are a lock.
Okay, go ahead.
And that would be Randy Orton versus Batista for the title.
I have that match, and
I think it's a mistake.
I have no interest in the match.
No.
I agree. The Batista thing is he's been a fumble, I think, since his return. The audience isn't taking to him, and he's not making an impact with me as a viewer.
Yeah, I think I just can't see that being anything but just a mess, a train wreck if the crowd, just gets all over that. Especially if it's the last match of the night and it's for the title. I think
that's a bad spot.
That's
for that
wrong.
Match.
That's wrong. Undertaker, Brock Lesnar. I think
I have
a
that
lot
one
of people
also.
Planned that to happen
when Brock Lesnar re-signed 2 years ago now with the company. That was the first match I'm like, I really want to see that. Mm-hmm. I want to see Taker and Lesnar. I've been wanting to see it for quite a long time now. So yeah, I just like the one guy's all respect, and then the one guy's too cool for the room,
right.
And that's just it's a whole mess up. Plus with the whole UFC thing, and I just think that's an Undertaker match I really am dying to see.
The next, Cena versus Bray Wyatt. It looks like they might be headed that way. They kind of backed off of that a little bit. So I'm wondering if that's really going to happen.
I have that match on my paper too, and I would like to see that. But you're right. It felt like right after the Royal Rumble, that's where they were. It's going to be Wyatt and Cena for the next 2 months. And now they're back off in the Wyatt to focusing on the Shield. But that's probably because they're going to be fighting at the pay-per-view, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll go back to Cena here soon.
Yeah, they'll kind of focus back on that. And then
that has potential to be, A, a good match, and B, a productive match.
I think so, too. I think a lot could come out of that. Even if Cena wins it, I think people want to see Bray Wyatt win, but I think even if Cena wins, that could be very good for Bray Wyatt. As we saw Cena against Cesaro Monday night.
That's right.
I mean, Cena won, but huge for Cesaro.
Mm-hmm. And that's another one of those examples where it's like, a loss for Bray in that situation could be productive. Just having him on that level and showing that he can perform with everybody.
And then the other one that a lot of people are talking about seems to maybe be headed that direction is Daniel Bryan versus Triple H.
That's the first 4 matches I have written down also.
So I think let's just say, and I think they could still change a lot of things here, as I mentioned to you earlier today. Just think of this. What if things change, the title picture changes, Brock comes back right after the Elimination Chamber, works his way into the title picture, which is all he was talking about in his last run, was the title, and maybe gets a title match, wins the title from whoever comes out of the Elimination Chamber. Maybe it's Daniel Bryan, and now he's the champion going in. Him and Batista might be a little bit different story. The crowd might still not want that. But what if, it's like the build-up to WrestleMania 13, where the title was kind of up in the air. We knew the matches, but we didn't, you had Austin Taker, Austin and Brett, you had Taker and Sid, and, I would really like to throw a little chaos in there. I don't know that that's going to happen, but...
In some ways, I resent this match because... Triple H is booking himself into an Undertaker-like role, I think. Mm-hmm. He can kind of just disappear and fight at WrestleMania because he's a wrestling god of some sort. And it happened naturally with The Undertaker, I think, but with Triple H, it's because he's holding all the cards.
Right.
And I kind of resent that. That being said, though, this has been a long time coming. this
Sure.
Triple H Daniel Bryan feud. So there's stuff there already. There's already groundwork for a match like that, and I would call it a moderate interest in that. I would prefer to see Bryan in a title picture, something more like what you said.
Right.
Although I don't see it happening this WrestleMania.
I think you would need a major stipulation in the match. I think something with control being involved, Triple H's control being involved, or a future title shot or something being involved in that match, and put it on last. I think that's the only way you do if the Randy Orton Batista thing is still a go.
I'm not sure.
So-
I'm not sure that should close out the night though either. Personally,
Well, and maybe Undertaker and
I don't know.
Brock, but the implications of those two, with neither one of them coming back the next night or in the future,
but, okay.
I don't think you put that match on last either. But I don't know. We'll see.
Those are the ones that everyone's
so
talking
yeah, I think
about.
those are there. Here's what I'm confused. Where do you go from there? What other matches? Because there's a lot of guys still left. And let me just go through some of these guys that I've got listed.
Yeah, and remember it's a 4-hour show usually.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Sheamus, you've got Big E, you've got Mark Henry, you've got Big Show, Dolph and The Miz, you've got RVD maybe coming back, the Divas, you've got Del Rio, you've got Wade Barrett, who has yet to wrestle since having this Bad News Barrett gimmick. You've got Titus O'Neil, who they seem to be pretty high on right now. You've got Christian and Mysterio. You've got all the tag teams like Goldust and Cody. Where do they fit in?
I'm not sure a lot of them do. And that's kind of the way WrestleMania goes sometimes. You've only got a certain amount of time. They even make it an extended show, 4 hours long. Not everyone gets to make it. And it's kind of the way it works. I have 4 other matches that I think are possible.
Okay.
The first place I'm going is Roman Reigns. He's everybody's, the big internet sensation right now. Everyone's talking about him being the future. I think that is a mistake. I think that once they give him the ball, he's going to have more of a Ryback-like performance than anybody else. But we'll see. I'm going to give him a chance. I don't have a problem with him. What you could do with him that would be productive is A, have him take on Dean Ambrose. You could B, have him take on both members of the Shield.
That's what I have. Triple threat.
Or you can have him in a tag match with the Shield as a team, and that's where they split. Something to put the focus on him, though.
Right.
And I think that there's a few ways you can go with that, but involved in some way, whether it be before WrestleMania or during WrestleMania, with a split with the Shield.
Who would you put him up against if it was all 3 of them against someone else?
Well, the first choice would be the Wyatt family again, but I have
True.
Wyatt in the Cena match. Maybe it's just 2 of them. I don't exactly know. Where are the New Age Outlaws? Aren't they still the tag team champions?
Yes, they are.
So I don't exactly know what you do with that, but you want to have him shine exclusively from the Shield. So that's either the night to do it or the feud to do it with. I'd love to see him take on Ambrose too, one-on-one.
Yeah, I had them down as a triple threat with all 3 members of the Shield. I could also see him and Ambrose for the U.S. title, maybe with Rollins trying to figure out which way he's going to go. That could be a possibility. Another match I just threw in there just because it seems like the only thing for them, with Christian looking like he's turning heel now because of Monday night. I'm saying Christian versus Rey Mysterio. I think it'll be a solid match. It seems to be one of those matches you haven't really seen a lot, and it would be a solid opener for WrestleMania.
It would be. That would be an awesome match I'd love to see. I don't see it happening this year.
Okay.
I think that I don't think whenever they put stock in Christian, it never seems to last very long. But then again, having WrestleMania without Rey Mysterio also sounds odd.
Yeah. I don't see them not putting it. Even Christian, when he wasn't on WrestleMania, was still on WrestleMania in Edge's corner.
Or that might be like the pre-show match.
Could be,
something like that.
I could see that.
How many do you have? Do you have 4?
Let's see. I had 3 for sure, and then I just had a big, long list of people. The
Okay.
other thing, and I think this is a way to get a lot of people on, they haven't done one of these in a long time, and it seems like a good way to build up the tag team division is one of those good old tag team turmoil type gauntlets.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Because not only do you have the teams that are active right now, you've got the Outlaws, you've got the Rhodes Brothers, you've got the Usos, you've got Matadores, I guess you could throw in there.
Absolutely.
You've got the talked about team of Dolph Ziggler and The Miz. They could
You're naming all the teams that I could see in this.
I could also see a comeback. A lot of people have been talking about Evan Bourne coming back. And then Kofi just kind of floundering. I think you put those 2 back together. Air Boom back together. They were so hot.
To surprise everybody with Air Boom?
I think they were a great team. They don't seem to be pulling the trigger on Kofi anytime soon.
Right.
So maybe put those guys back together, and then just a few other teams that are significant you could put in there. But then you're still missing Big E, who seems to be what do you do with him? And
I don't have him on my show. I don't have him on mine.
I think he's got to be on there. Maybe and I don't have Sheamus on there again.
I have Sheamus and Del Rio. That's a match I couldn't care less about.
No. Don't want to see that. I don't think anybody wants to see that.
But
again.
I can't see a WrestleMania without those two right now.
Yeah, I can't either.
So I just kind of throw them together. You got Sheamus as a heel. I'm sorry, Sheamus as a face, Del Rio as a heel, and I can see them mixing it up.
Yeah, and the only thing I could think of maybe for Big E would be maybe you have a turn with Mark Henry, and they seem to be buddies, but maybe I don't know. So yeah, we're still very up in the air, which is frustrating, but it also leaves a lot of excitement to come.
Mm-hmm.
So just let us know what matches you think might be coming. I still would like to see maybe not a match, but an appearance by the Ultimate Warrior at Mania.
Well, he'll do
something.
They always
cool.
Trot out the Hall of Famers.
Yeah, he maybe Fandango would be a good person for him to run through, give a couple clotheslines. And
I have Fandango on my show. I have him facing Santino.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that seems to be a feud that's going on right now.
The last match that I would like to see or could see at the show is Cody taking on his brother Goldust.
At one time, I could have said that was going to happen. Now, I don't think so much.
I would like to.
I would like to see it sometime down the road. I don't think it's going to happen now. I don't think there's enough build-up.
Clever pun. Down the road.
The road to WrestleMania. Anyway.
I was talking about the Rhodes Brothers.
Oh, hey, that too. Yeah, it's a dusty one. The road to WrestleMania.
that it is. Let me ask you real quick before we sign off. I know we've gone a little long here, but this week we lost Viscera, Viscera. Mabel. Do you have a distinct Mabel memory or anything that jumps out at you as being something we should talk about just to kind of commemorate Mabel?
I think he was always a good utility guy. I mean, didn't have a long run at the top. I mean, did have a match for the title with Diesel, had the King of the Ring run. But he
I've
always
heard stories about that, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
But he always fit pretty well, whether they were playing him as a big monster heel when they brought him back as Big Daddy V he had an intimidating look and could have gone farther. The only really stories I have, it seems on my Facebook page, I've got a lot of friends that are in the independent business, around this area, around Tennessee, and they all seem to be friends with him and really have good things to say about him. I never got the chance to work with him or meet him, but anyway, he's definitely a big. I mean, a big dude. I mean, you got to realize health problems.
Absolutely.
With wrestlers are one
right?
thing, but yeah, at only 43 years old, as big as he was, health is got to be an issue. But certainly wish the best to him and his family.
My memory of Mabel was that he was on the very first show I ever watched as a wrestling fan. I told you last week in episode 3, SummerSlam 94 was the first wrestling show I ever saw. One of my friends wanted to watch it, and we ordered it and watched it, and I had never seen any wrestling before that. And on that night, he took on Double J Jeff Jarrett, rap music versus country, which is kind of like what we are here.
Yes, that's it.
We're kind of like pop music, but we're kind of like the Mabel and Jeff Jarrett of Evansville radio, I think. So,
and ain't I great? That's
exactly right. I'm Mabel. He's Mo.
Absolutely. We are the Enhancement Talents, and we'll catch up with you next week here.